Right. So what we discussed in the previous session about account creation, right? So uh, how do we create account, especially when we are working on Salesforce? Because Salesforce application majorly to manage customer data, all that, right? So if you want to import any new accounts from an external devices, we can import, right? So we have an option where we can import the data, right? So how to import the data, that you will be knowing later. Right? So I'll take some sample files and all everything, and we will be doing it. Right? So that is one thing. At the same time, manual operation, whatever I'm showing you, how to create a manual data is important because what are all the fields which are related for the account when we are creating, right? So about details of a person, right? So or else the type of account are we going to create. So that part we have discussed. So as far as the sample itself is concerned, as I stated earlier, I have taken a sample data of a sample account creation for the inventory management system, inventory control, okay, point of sale system. So these are the accounts which normally we have to create whenever you are working on the Salesforce application. This is what something which we have discussed in the previous class. At the same time, whenever we have created accounts here, you can see for point of sale system, there was an account which was created, wherein if you want to update any kind of contacts or records and all everything, we can update. Here you can see we have added, right? So the list of salaries, for example, uh, retail store I'm talking about, right? So in context to that, right? So if you want to add any kind of salaries or something of that sort, all these things can be added to the existing account. At the same time, there are some sub accounts wherein we have created, wherein if you want to create any inventory control accounts and all everything. So even that we even created in the last session. Now, today I'm going to discuss about the leads part because how to add the leads for the Salesforce application. So the advantage in Salesforce application, before I'm getting into Salesforce adding leads and all, so let me explain you. So the advantage of Salesforce. Salesforce, why is it so popular? Of course, it's not only Salesforce, even Dynamics CRM or whatever the application. The advantage is that CRM process of Salesforce or Dynamics, we can use of anything, right? So we can use sales CRM, right? So we can use marketing CRM, right? So at the same time, we have a CRM services even for e-commerce, right? So here we can see we have an option even for e-commerce, right? So if you are interested, even e-commerce platform wherein we can add e-commerce platform also, okay, right? So usually, of course, these are all premium accounts. That is different thing, right? So e-commerce account, right? So if you are interested, we can use it. This is all something depends on the requirement of us. Generally, we use all that, okay, because we don't use all these. Yeah, because Salesforce application, let's say a retail store is using it, okay. So the retail store is using Salesforce application to manage their customer data, okay, or else they want to have some e-commerce related CRM services also. Whichever the services they want, they can opt their services and whatever the required charges to be made, etc. Everything we can do it. So we have options. We have Salesforce as an option. We have Salesforce. We have Sales CRM. We have marketing CRM. We have, right. So commerce, e-commerce CRM, right. So different options are we having. But when it comes to the role of a BA, because end of the day, this is all something we are learning from the business analyst perspective. This is where generally you have to be focused more on the settings part. Because in the last session, I told you, I think at the beginning of my class videos, even I told you, more or less like an admin activity, because I'm not saying you are an admin, right? So because administrator roles and responsibilities are additional, it is not because those are all back-end responsibilities. Administrator will perform the back-end responsibilities, especially in any application. I am not naming Salesforce. It can be you take any application, administrator do backend configurations, etc., will be done. If you remember when I explained you about Jira, I told you, right, some basic settings will be there, right? So showing the roadmap or not, right? So configuring, right? So that can be done. In this regard, Salesforce administrator roles will be focused more on authentications, authorizations in that part. But whereas being a business analyst, it's not only about the data, but some kind of settings are important, because why you are making why we talking about settings is, for example, if you have taken some fields, okay, well, let me give you an example. Field setting, custom field setting. Let's say in this custom field setting there are different for example, you take accounts, okay, for example, accounts, right? So accounts were there, where in this account there are different areas, right? So one is about single line area, second is about long text area. Now, if there is any kind of changes which people wants to make out of it, right? For example, single line area, where they want to make some changes in the existing fields or something of that sort, right? So they want to give some name for the field or something of that, right? Customization of the fields. So this customization by adding or new things or existing ones has to be taken care of by the business analyst role. Why? Because whenever we are going to work on CRM application, uh, whoever is using the application, for example, organization is using the application, whatever the required fields they want you to customize, varying from one to another, it will not be the same for all the people. So customization will be the highest priority, right? So customization is what something, the priority which we have to be considered whenever you are working on the project. Customization is one kind of priority you have to make into you have to consider in this regard. So hence it's always important for us to add any kind of data, that is which is more important, right? So or else if you want to import the data, make sure the data must be sufficient enough to work on. That is important. At the same time, even settings by creating some custom fields and all, everything can be done. That is point number one. Point number two, user settings, right? So user settings. What is user settings? User settings, nothing but the permissions. Okay. For example, you want to invite some members, right? So you want to send an invitation where user permissions can be given. But because some people permissions we give only for the user side, because Salesforce application, let's say in your organization, it is being used by 10 people, okay, 10 people, they have different roles. Based on the role, how they are using the Salesforce application will be varied, you know that. In this regard, so there are some people who are working as users, means they are responsible to use the application, not to repair. Okay, they don't repair it. So they use the application for user purposes. But there will be some people who will be having a responsibility even to configure or manage something, right? So user permissions is what something which we have to be taken. Means either you are granting permission for a user to perform something in the application, or you are revoking it. Revoking it means you are taking it back, right? So you are taking it back can also be done. So in this regard, it's always important for us to add, because I have already added two users in the last session, you know it, right? So last session I've given. So here we need to provide a mail ID, wherein I'm just giving your email ID over here, right? So I think training site. Right. So user permission, wherein here we need to select the profile, right? So whatever the profile and all. For example, if it's a standard user is a profile. Okay, because 8 to 10 licenses remaining. Why 8 to 10 license? 8 of 10 licenses means, do remember whatever the account are we using, it's a trial account. Okay, it's not a complete open source account. So if it's a trial account, there will be limitation of licenses to be used. Okay, do remember this point, underline this point carefully. Right, so if you are using a full version, of course, how many licenses you have, that many license cost you have to pay. So understand the difference, because when we have taken a cloud account, Salesforce account from the Salesforce team, right? So they will be charging based on the user licenses. You know it, right? So user license. How many users are using the Salesforce application? That much of charges will be there. So normally in the real world, when we are using this application in our organization and all, how many user licenses we want? Those many user licenses will be taken. That's what generally we do it. But whereas when it comes to our scenario, when it comes to our trial versions, etc. and all, so normally user licenses will be given maximum of 10, right? So this is all something will be used for generalized purposes and all, so that there will be limitation. Okay, that point to be noted, right? So because it is not always 10 licenses, it is more than even. Because of the trial version, it is limited to 10. If it was not the case in the real world, organizations, when we are using it, it can be of anything, right? So you can send invitation, right? So invite was sent successfully. Uh, just give me a minute. Mhm. Let me check. Mm. Right. So here you got right. So yeah. Yeah, 0 minutes back, right? So we have got an accept invite, right? So for your records and all, here you get it, right? So when it comes to the users here, right? So when we are talking about the users here, so if you want to accept an invitee, where your invitation link will be there, wherein you are accepting the invitee, and you can log in using your credentials. You can log in because you're also one of the member are using this, so that you can use your email account and all everything. You can log in so that you will be also be a part of it. That's what something which normally we will be doing whenever you are working on the user part. So as an admin, it's always important as a business analyst, having knowledge over the administrator and all that. Adding users and managing users is important. Are you following everyone? Clear? Bhavik and Garima, etc. Everyone.
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. So this is where generally you have to be performed, right? So these are all the things you need to be used. At the same time, if you want to add and update any kind of information regarding the business details, right? So if you want to have any kind of business details and all everything, you can use it, right? So according to your requirement and all, what are the needed business details and all everything is what something we can use it. That is absolutely of our choice. So that can be used. That is different. Right. So whatever the requirement we have, we can use it. Right. So if you want to create any kind of password or something of that sort, we can use the new password and we can use it according to our requirements. So these can be used in this regard. Now, hold on. Password. I unnecessarily create one more account. Right. So this is how generally you will be logging on. Understood? Clear? Is it clear to you, Bhavik and mm, Garima? Right. So Following?
Yes, sir.
Right?
Yes,
sir.
sir.
So this is how generally an account has been created, right? So you can see, but here is a question to both of you. You are following it from the beginning. Earlier, whatever the account I have shown you, I have created two accounts. Am I right? I have created two accounts. But as far as the present application which I am showing you, I don't see any account here. Now you tell me what will be the reason for that. What could be the reason for this? Why is this? Why is this happened? Again, I'm asking you the question. Account, already we have created two accounts earlier. Okay. Now, whenever I'm showing you account over here, by giving some user ID password details, if you can see here, there was no accounts. Why? Because we have multiple
We
accounts.
haven't synchronized them.
No, we have multiple accounts. The first account what I have created is on my personal name, which has created and there it was using. Now, what I did, whenever I'm using user settings, user permissions I have given and user details I have added for one more mail ID, right? So for this mail ID, I have added. Whenever I log in, from where I have logged in, I have logged in from the other account. Where in this account, I have not created any accounts as so far. They got my point, Bhavik and Garima. Clear? Understood?
Yes, sir.
There are two accounts. Do remember in the initial account, whatever I have created, there, whatever the login ID credentials I have used for Salesforce, I am using. There I have created accounts. But while we are working on what I did, actually, I went to the settings where we have made some changes to the existing one, wherein we have added a user called LNI training, right? So something we have used. Whenever we have used, what is that we did? What is that we have? What is that we did? Whenever we are logging in, we are logging from another account. So whatever the account you can see over here, this is another account. This is not the account which our parent this thing is used. Okay, you understood my point. Clear or not? Everyone,
Yes, sir.
right or not? Right. So now let me show you my now the present account I'll show you. Okay. This is an account wherein you will be seeing because application have some this thing so that you have to be little this thing. Okay. So this is an account wherein you will be seeing. Here you can see the accounts. Understood now, Bhavik and Garima. Clear or
Yes, sir.
right? So
Yes.
there are two parallel accounts we are creating. One account. For that account, we have already created accounts and all everything when we are using it. Now, just because of the user adding of users and all everything, we have created one more account for that. For that account, we have not created any account so far. Just we have created an account. Users we have created, but we have not created account. That's the reason why you don't see any list of accounts and all everything over there. That was the difference. Understood now? Clear? So when it comes to the user perspective, why? Because that particular user where we have added, whenever you are going to the settings here, so whenever I have taken a user, we have given a user permission only for standard user, not an admin permission. Okay, so if you are an admin permission, you have a provision, you have a possibility where you can add or you can edit something, right? So everything you can do. But whereas when it comes to the invite, whenever we are working on it, if you can see closely, I have chosen an option for profile called standard user, because user permission only we have taken. Okay, we have not selected the profile for admin. Only user profile we have taken. That's the reason why if you want to add an accounts and all everything, you must be having a permission for admin so that license, so that accounts and all everything can be created in this regard. This is what and how usually this users, accepting users and creating users. This is how generally the users and all everything will be used in this regard, right? So this is the point. Again, this detailed how to create custom fields and all everything that I'll explain it later. Okay. Now, let's go back to the sales part. Right here, you can see this is what something which I have seen. If you want to create any kind of leads or something like here, you can see there is an option called add lead. I'm creating few here, okay, because not many not required, because this is all for something for you to understand, okay. So I'm just creating some leads, right? So I'm just creating some leads. I'm creating, okay. I don't know what is it, all that lead status. Uh, Contacted. For example, this is a lead wherein we have contacted. Okay. I'm not segmenting all this. Okay. Save a new. Right. So new lead was created on this name. Okay. This is a name. This is the lead which we have created already. Right. So this is a name wherein we have created already. Here you can see this is a lead. Right. So this is one of the lead which I have created. Right. So if you want to create any kind of new leads or something of that sort, we can. But here, if you remember, when we are using some Salesforce application, in context to the sales point of view, I'm talking about, this is a lead we have generated wherein it was in a state of contacted. Okay. It was standard in the state of contacted. So this lead has to be converted from contacted to converted. That is important. Okay. Contacted. But now what we have done so far, now we have created a lead which is contacted lead. Okay. After that, the contacted lead will be turned into nurturing. After that, unqualified. If it is unqualified, then we'll be marked into unqualified. Otherwise, it will be moved into the converted. When it will be converted, when the sales is closed successfully, then it will be moved into the converted part. So this is how generally, whenever you want to create any kind of leads, or whenever you want to create any kind of leads or something of that sort, we can create a lead for the existing ones, whatever we have and all everything. So we can provide all the required details to them, right? So customer name, right? So their company, at the same time, their contact details, email addresses, right? So which segment and how many employees these people are having, what will be their annual turnover, right? So from there, we have got the lead source, right? Which industry these people were belongs to. All these things can be added into the existing contacts. This is what something which normally we have to perform whenever we are creating any kind of leads or something of that sort. From the leads onwards, from the contact onwards, these leads has to be converted into converted, right? So whenever we are moving into the converted, then only this will be considered as successfully completion. That is the point to be noted. Now here you can see, if you want to because if you want to create any kind of new event, okay, for example, new event, if you want to create any kind of new event and all, so that the event can be planned here, right? So event can be planned accordingly. So whatever the event we have created, so by the time, normally when there is any, for example, if you want to put any kind of reminders or something like, because let's say, for example, you want to have a first meeting with the customer, okay. I mean, for example, first meeting with the customer you want, right? So for the first meeting, wherein, for example, you want to event is call, right? So not sending email. We want to call to the customer for the first meeting, right? So we are here. You need to write down the description for that, right? So this is the description I have taken. Start date, of course, let us say today is the start date I have taken. Right, send date, it will by tomorrow. I'm just giving search accounts, right? So if you want to search any kind of accounts or something, like you can search for the accounts and all. That is one thing. And you can click on save. So the event is saved, right? So event is called, right? So whatever the event we have created for this particular customer, because do you want to send an email to the people or you want to call it to them, right? So this is where generally this events is what something which normally we have to do it. Now, for example, log a call. Log a call means how many calls were made so far, right? So if there is any kind of calls uh, called twice, right? So generally, for example, right? So we have called twice, right? So one lead, whatever the lead are we talking about, if you want to log a call and all. So call task was logged, right? So here you can see log call was added. So we have done this for twice time, right? So when you can see all the activities, whatever the activities are we performing over here. So you can see all the activities. This is something required and something relating to the particular lead what we have created so far over here. Understood, everyone, right? So this is how generally the leads is what something which we have created. So as of now, what we did, lead creation is what comes under the sales we have to create. So once we have created lead, what we have to do initially, this will be started with contact. From their contact, it has to be converted in between nurturing as well as unqualified, if any, will be. So those stages has to be crossed, and this lead has to be converted into convert site, right? So then only this will be having an update. Now, before that, what we have done, whenever we have created a lead, we need to contact that person. How, what are the different ways to contact the person and all everything is what something we have to write. So if you want to make any kind of new event as separate, we can do it because status changed successfully. We have changed the status. So first of all, we need to create an event for a particularly what we have created. At the same time, you can set up the log calls. Log calls means how many calls we have made so far. If it is call, okay. If you are sending an email and all, that is a different thing because again, I'll be showing you. You can go to a new event, right? So subject you have to mention either it is a call or you are going to send any kind of conduct any kind of meeting with them one-on-one, or you are sending any kind of quotations or letters or you are contacting them through an email or any other ways, right? So this is where general this event creations and all everything we have to do. Now, in contact to the particular lead I'm talking about, if you want to create any kind of new task and all everything, so the task we have to be updated, right? So the same way that, for example, we had a discussion with the customer where we want to send a quotation to the customer, right? So to make it closure, send quotation. So when will be the due date? For example, 4th, right? So 4th is a due date assigned to, let's say that I'm being assigned to me, right? So, right. So this is a task which was created. Make sure whatever the lead we have taken, that will be moved into nurturing because from there, what we have done, we have moved into the task. What task? Because based on the interaction we had with the customer and all, we have identified and we were agreed to send a quotation to the customer. So
Sir,
whenever we are, yeah, go ahead, Bobby.
sorry to interrupt you, sir. Before, so in here in CRM, nurturing means like a discussion or in process, like the discussion is going on for the business, or
Yeah, because you
what you-
want to know about the status. Nurturing means the status of the existing customer where the customer is working on. That is what
Okay,
generally we call it as nurturing. Means
okay,
earlier what we did, we have created a lead, but for a particular person, we have created a lead. Okay.
mhm,
So that
mhm,
lead, what end of the day being into CRM, you have to do that lead has to be converted into a successful closure. Okay. Successful
right,
closure. So
mhm,
if you want to convert into a successful closure, what is that you have to do? First of all, you need to interact with the people, right? So in different means, right? In different means of it, right? Either you're calling to the person or sending an email, whatever it is. So
mhm,
for example, you have contacted a person twice and all. Finally, you came to a conclusion or you came to an understanding where you have to send a quotation to the customer. Okay.
right,
So now
mhm,
if you want to send a quotation to the customer, that is one kind of task being a user you are having. Yes or no?
okay,
Right?
Yes.
Being a user, you have this is what something which you have, right? So this is a task you have. So what are we doing now? We have to create a task and we have to add the details. What is the task? Sending the quotation is a task we have created. So whenever you are creating the task, what will happen automatically? That will be automatically moved into nurturing.
Okay. Got it.
Understood, right?
Yes. Sir. Yes.
Because this is not something you are doing on your own. Okay. Because all these things happens in stepwise procedures, because we have created a contact. From there, we are moving into nurturing. After that, if it is unqualified, it will be moved. From there, it will be moved into the converted. Converted means the business is successful, closed,
Successful.
successfully
Yes.
closed. So for every customer, because whenever there is a new lead we have taken and all, this is what and how the procedure which has to be followed. If this procedure has to be followed, it's not only about the lead creation we did. So we have to perform this, right? So first of all, we have to create an event. So once event is created, call is an event we have created. For example, how many times we have called to the customer and all everything, you can see it on the log call. After that, whatever the final conclusion was made, sending quotation and all, that will be counted as a new task. Whenever you have created a new task, automatically this lead will be converted from contact to nurture. Clear, Bhavik? Understood?
Yes, sir. Clear.
Understood, right? So, Bhavik, yourself, Garima, Lola, clear? Okay, so this is how. So whatever the activities are we performing for the existing lead, what we have created so far, everything you can see over here. Okay, so whatever the activities, this is an activity list, because whatever the activities you have all that, right? So this is all something we have, right? So send quotation is the upcoming task. When it is on 4th July. Okay, sending quotation is an activity which you have to send it on 4th July. 4th July, you have to send it. Let's say, for example, on 4th July, this was completed. You can create as mark as complete, so that automatically this will be created automatically. But of course, 4th July, maybe more 2 days we have, so that we are not doing anything. Okay. This is what and how, whenever we are working on the accounts, whenever you are creating any kind of sales leads or something like, right? So whatever the leads are we created and all everything, this is how lead creation we have to do, and how this can be used, and how this can be added to the existing CRM application, is what something which, being a user, we have to perform, because users nothing but employees of the Salesforce application who are using the application, because this can be accessed by 10 multiple people, for example, right? So let's say I have shown you 10 people were the access for this trial version, wherein we have already created two, right? So we may be having 8 or 7 people more to be added. So whatever the roles and responsibilities they will be having and all everything will be varied from one to another. It will not be the same for all the people. So this is how generally lead creation is what something which we have to be performed whenever you are working on the Salesforce application. So while you are working on the Salesforce application, this is what and how generally lead creations is what something we have to be used it. Right? So this is what. So now here, these are the contacts. Means if you have any kind of contacts we have and all everything, you can see all the contacts here. Or else if you want to add any kind of contacts and all everything, you can add it. So here I've just taken one lead we have created. This is a lead. And whatever the activities and all everything was done. Next, accounts we have already created. We have two accounts. One is for POS and as well as for inventory we have created already. Next, here is a contact, right? So for example, whatever the contacts do we have in all, everything. Now, for example, if you want to add contacts, okay, add contact, right, contact. Now, okay. Now, if you want to have any such accounts, right? So for example, this is an account, right? For POS system is an account. Okay, we have created. Title, we have taken. For example, reports to, right? So reports to new contact. Okay, description is the owner for that, right? So contact on is mine. Get in touch with it. The mailing details, everything will be updated. Right. So everything will be updated. and you're clicking on save. Right, so if you want to create any kind of contacts and all everything, so this contact we can create it this way, the same way how you have done even for leads and all everything. So the same thing you can create leads, because you have created a lead. The same way you have created even contacts also. So even in the contacts also, we have a provision where if you want to edit any information of that sort, we can add the information. What are the activities are we going to perform and all everything? We can add it. That is anyway, that is common. That will be there. So this is how, when we are working on the sales, we have to create the leads. We have to contact the leads. At the same time, we have to create an account for which account this contacts and as well as leads are belongs to. Because as in when we are using multiple accounts and all, for which account these contacts and leads were belongs to, that will be decided here. Next, if you want to create any kind of opportunity, for example, let's say that if you want to see the list of opportunities what we have, because future business, I am talking about opportunities means future businesses which we are having and all everything. Here you can add an opportunity to the existing ones. Add opportunity name. Okay, opportunity name I can give something like mm, uh, I can give, it is relating to POS system, right? Okay. Accept data. Okay, for example, right? So accept data is an opportunity I have taken. Okay, I've taken. This is relating to POS account. We have to mention the close date 8, right? So amount has to be mentioned, right? So this will be in the currency, whatever the currencies do we have and all everything. And we can, right? So if you want to mention any kind of status, okay, for example, 1 minute, yeah. So we have to maintain the status here, stage of it, right? So stage we need to, for example, this is in the negotiation stage, okay, for example, right? So accepting the data which is in the negotiation state, probability, right? So probability will already be there. So it is in the pipeline. So still it is in the pipeline here. So whatever it is in the pipeline, wherein accepting of data was created over here. Understood? Clear? Everyone? Understood or not, right? So accept data is an opportunity we have taken, still this is in the negotiation stage. So why negotiation stage? Because this is the stage where we are negotiating with the customer. So based on the activities and all, what will be the probability percentage? Based on the data what we have given, there is a probability of success rate, I mean to say, right? So success rate will be of 75% is the probability. Now forecast. Forecast means this is under the progress. That's the reason why we have selected it as a pipeline. So what must be the next step? This negotiation has to be completed successfully, this opportunity, and it has to be close to a closed state, right? So closed state is what something which you have to do, right? So log a call, for example, call, okay? Some comments. I'm just writing some context, some comments I'm taking, which is relating to accept data, right? Okay, search for the context. So leads I have taken, search for the leads and clicking on save. Okay, this is where generally we have added, right? So we have logged a call for this to negotiate, because if you want to negotiate it, so you have arranged a call for that. So once this opportunity has been closed, automatically you can click and mark stage as complete. So automatically this account will be, this opportunity will be created, and automatically this will be moved into the closed state. Of course, I'm not closing it now, because once the negotiation is done successfully, automatically that we can move into the complete state. This is how generally the sales in context to the CRM part and all, how to create leads, how to create contacts, how to create accounts opportunities is what something being a user has to be done. Now, to make their work more easier, this is where generally we have to do the settings, because as I told you, right? So if you want to add any kind of users to the existing application, or else if you want to create any kind of fields as separate, right? So these are all the things which we can add it to the existing application whenever it is needed and whatever is needed if you want to add any kind of new fields to the existing application, or if you want to create any kind of new users or something of that sort. These activities, being a business analyst, we have to do it in back of it, because this is a sales related stuff I'm talking about, right? So sales CRM related stuff, which I have taken. Instead of taking a data set, it is always important for us to add some new data manually from our end, right? So whenever you are doing it, so that you will be knowing it, because if you have if you have downloaded the data, so which data, what kind of data, right? So what are all the fields which are included in it? Being learner, we don't have any idea. Okay, we don't get any idea. So we get an idea whenever you are doing it manually, right? So whenever you are creating any kind of lead, or you're creating any contact or an opportunity, so that whatever the required fields to be updated to the existing stuff. For example, we have taken a lead already, right? So you will be knowing about what are the fields which are required for us to add, right? So we can add all the details based upon the industry, based on the contact details, what they have, right? So what will be their segment? These details has to be updated. So based on that, whatever the opportunity we have got of working on accepting of data. So once the negotiation has been taken place, that will be moved into the closing state. This is what and how usually on sales CRM, in in spite of accepting or downloading the data, or something of that sort. If we want to do it manually, this is what and how usually we do. In addition to that, if there is any kind of analytical reports to be generated, right? So you want to know about the performance, or if you want to know about the status of it, right? So if you want to know about the sales related collection reports you want to see, right? So if you want to see my forecast, right? So if you want to see any kind of forecast of the application, what we have here, you can see the forecast. Okay, forecast of the pipeline is the forecast category, because if you remember, for the opportunities we have created it. So that is the thing we have taken. Opportunity is accept data. These are the forecast reports. Means if you want to enable any kind of field editing you want to make, because this is where you want to make any kind of editing and all everything, enabling field editing you want to enable, you can enable it, right? So by considering the different things, for example, row and counts, right? So wherein if you want to enable it or if you want to disable it, wherein we have a choice where we can do this. Okay. So if you want to add any kind of records or something, or if you want to any kind of import any kind of records to the existing one, or if you want to export any kind of records, or else if you want to add these records to the existing dashboard, okay, for analytical purpose and all everything, if you want to create any new dashboard, okay, for example, new dashboard I'm creating for a POS system, the description, it's a private dashboard, select folder. So this is a dashboard which was created, of course, right? So all folders, right? So customer service dashboard. If you want, you can select the dashboard, right? So that is of our choice. And if you want to create any kind of category for that, so we can create a dashboard. So depends on the activity, depends on the status of the customer data, how we have moved from one state to another state. If you want to add these for the dashboard purpose, means if you want to visualize the status of the work, what we have done, by knowing about the forecast and all everything, this forecast we can do it. But if this is where generally you need to work on the filters part, because how to add the filters and how to include the filters. Let's say, for example, there is a filter of billing address one, which you have to be added to the filter value, right? So if you want to add any kind of filter value, which is equals to, right? So these are all the filters, for example, right? So I'm just giving the rough figure. Okay. I'm just giving the rough figure, okay, not the actual one. Rough figure. If you want to add any kind of filters to the existing ones, these are the filters which you are doing in the back of the application, not on the front ground. Because based on the report, what you have to be generated, you need to add the filters to the existing ones. So this filters creation is also something which, being a BA, we have to perform, because filters creation at the same time, if you want to create any kind of custom fields, or if you want to customize any kind of sales stages or something like, or user licenses permissions, all these things has to be taken care of by the business analyst based on the requirement of the particular salesforce application. Because salesforce application, whatever the required information, whatever is needed, it is there already. right? We are not doing anything as separate. But what is that are we doing according to the requirement of the present industry? Where are we working on? So if you want to make any kind of changes in custom fields, or if you want to create any kind of filters or something of that sort, this is what something which we have to be performed as a BA based on the requirements what we have collected. See, for example, requirements we have created wherein if you want to add the fields, in normally as a BA, what you do, you create some records or you create some document, right? So you create a functionality for adding the fields and all everything, and you'll be creating some documentation. That is what generally being a BA, we do it. But whereas when it comes to the application based BA, this is what something you have to do it on the application by itself, not by preparing any kind of documents and all. So creating a document is an additional thing that is anyway that is optional. But end of the day, how to create and fields and how to add the fields and all everything is what something which you have to be performed by you, being a business analyst on your own. Understood? Clear, Bhavik, Lola, Garima, clear or not? Right?
Yes, sir.
Right? So this is what and how leads, contacts, accounts, leads, accounts, and contacts and opportunities is what something I have discussed in the today's session. Tomorrow onwards, we are going to discuss about the fields, right? How to create custom fields, right? So before we are getting into that, how to create custom fields followed by the users and all everything that I'm going to discuss from tomorrow onwards, right? How to create the filters, right? So workflows. So these are all something which we are going to discuss in tomorrow's session. Is it clear? Onwards. Is it clear or not? Bhavik, Garima, Lola.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
It's
Right.
clear. Yeah.
So this is all about session today, right? So we'll meet tomorrow and we discuss more further about the filters, because major role is filters, workflows, custom fields. These are all the major activities of a BA, because these are the requirements you are coming up, right? So you're not a developer. If you are a developer, you will be using Apex programming and all everything to write the code. But being a business analyst, whatever the requirements are required. So if you want to add any kind of new custom fields according to the requirement which customer has asked us, we should have that hands-on experience to do that, not by just writing the document, because writing a document is one way, okay? But when it comes to the having an application experience, being a business analyst, this is what something which you have to be do it on your own, so that you will be knowing, right? So how to create and how to perform, etc. Okay, right? So if you want to add filters, right? So here you can see, if you want, you can add the filter. Already created one filter and we have added. We do few more, okay, in coming days, followed by custom fields, all these things in the coming session. Okay. Right, Bhavik, right, Lola, and Garima. See you.
Yes, sir.
Bye.
All right. Have a good
Thank you.
Thank you.